Hi everyone, it's Diana and I'm sitting here with Executive Director of the Gatehouse Toronto and registered psychotherapist Maria Barcelos. Today we're here to bring some awareness to a great organization called the Gatehouse. They operate out of the city of Toronto. They help adults who have dealt with child sexual abuse, and today we're sitting with Maria to discuss their objectives, what they do there, and how they can help you or someone you know. For any viewers that may not be familiar, what is it exactly that you guys do at the Gatehouse? Like, what does that look like when somebody first comes to you guys?
For sure. The Gatehouse is a charitable organization that helps survivors of childhood sexual abuse. We provide peer support groups, counseling, expressive arts therapy, and resources for survivors and their families.
Expressive arts therapy. That's right. Then when you guys have that event, you guys have a nice little art show that goes off. Is that mostly that comes out of the survivors?
Yes. So we do have artists that come and do life paintings at our annual fundraiser in October, Healing Voice Within.
Yes.
And we do have some artwork that is displayed that was created by the people in our group programs.
And do you find that that's helpful for people that are coming to you? Like, do you find that form of therapy is very helpful for them? I've heard of like going to horse farms and stuff like that, like doing the horse petting, that's helpful. I'm allergic personally, but yeah, is that an expressive outlet, a good expressive outlet for them?
It is. Art has the ability to help people find the words that they haven't been able to find to describe what happened to them, how they felt about it, what's happening for them in their life. It's an outlet, right? There's no one particular modality that is 100% effective in healing from childhood trauma.
Right.
You have to find like what works for you. And expressive arts is one of those modalities that if you don't have the language to describe it or to name what you're feeling, art can definitely help. It goes into your subconscious and pulls that out of you.
I guess that leads into my next question, which are like, what are the most common needs you see when survivors first come in through your doors? They first I'm guessing they either get referred or they find you online. What are their initial needs aside from once you get to that finding that modality that would work for them?
Yeah, the biggest need that I would say is when somebody's trying to like reach out, they're facing insurmountable amounts of shame. And shame is that feeling that tells you you're not good enough. And they learn that from childhood experiences, of course. Sexual abuse and sexual violence reinforces shame, especially when the perpetrator tells you things like, this is your fault, or you're the one that caused this, or this is how we show love to one another, is another message that I've heard survivors share. That's how their perpetrator kept them kept the abuse secret, right? Yeah. So shame is the biggest barrier that they face coming forward. Am I even good enough to get the help that I need? Right. Yeah. They often come with messages that I am damaged, I'm broken. Right. And so wanting to seek support, they face that intense shame a lot before they actually make that phone call. We've seen people come up and down the stairs. It's 5 steps to get up to the Gatehouse. Yeah. We've seen them come up and down those stairs and actually leave because of that shame. Right. It's too late for me is another one, right? I never thought I would be able to get the help that I needed is another message. A lot of them are in isolation, thinking that they're the only one that this happened to. Right. And it's too late for me to get the help that I need, which is not. It's the shame that's talking.
It's always, that's so interesting. It's always the shame and like the embarrassment that always comes first. And it's such a interesting human emotion that comes out of something, I would say horrific that happens to an individual or traumatic that happens to them. And it's like everything centered around that word, that S word we'll call the shame, if you will. So when they're walking in, they're coming in with all the shame. Have you immediately, like, what would be your words to somebody to like, if they're feeling shame, like, what's the immediate thing that maybe they can wash themselves of that? So that they can make it up those 5 steps.
Exactly. The first thing that we always tell people when they make that initial phone call or knock on our doors is thank you. We offer gratitude for them coming forward because it takes a lot of courage to do that, to take those 5 steps, to make that phone call and push beyond that shame. And then the other message is that they're not alone. because they feel profoundly alone. There's this huge sense of loneliness in their experience, that they're not alone. There are people like ourselves at the Gatehouse. Most of us have lived experience with this. We're survivors as well.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, to be able to come forward and say, me too.
Yeah.
Me too, you're not alone in that, and you will get through this.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, look at us. We overcame it together. We can help you as well. For them, for their barriers, for the underrepresented people, what barriers are there for them, and how would they access like support to programs like yours? I know nothing is, I don't know if this is true, but you can stop me if I don't know. It's like, but nothing really is free. Like if people are looking for really aggressive therapies or something like that, but what kind of access to support do those people have specifically?
So financial barriers, you just named one, right?
Yeah.
Like being able to afford therapy. Psychotherapy is an expensive and privileged process. At the Gatehouse, we do offer subsidized rates for counseling and our programs as well. So we do have a fee for our peer support groups, for example, but we do have a subsidized rate for low income folks. And if someone is not able to afford it, we will find a way to maybe a donor can subsidize their fees, and they will not pay. So people on OW, ODSP, we tend to offer at least 10 to 20 spaces free per year to make sure that money is not a barrier. The other barrier is if they are 2S/LGBTQIA identified folks face, again, more shame and more limited access to services. We actually created a program specifically for 2S/LGBTQIA CSA survivors. It's, as far as I know, it's the only program of its kind in this country. I haven't heard of anyone else that has a program that's this specific to help them understand more about themselves and their identity, and how child sexual abuse also impacted the amount of course, of shame that they have about coming forward, because safety is also like highly important. We have to feel safe to be able to access a program,
especially with that group, for sure. It's just like safety is always an issue for them, right? Even speaking to their family doctor for the most part, to feel safe in that environment.
Exactly, because they're also facing discrimination, judgment, and coming to a place like the Gatehouse where we make it safe for people, like truly safe to be seen, heard, validated. These are needs that survivors have, because often there's other traumas that have happened in addition to the child sexual abuse. You may have physical violence, you have addictions, or familial instability, suicide in the family. So all of those traumas really deeply impact how a child relates to themselves and the world. And if they never got help as kids, that gets compounded as they're trying to cope and navigate, their adolescence with addictions, with isolation, with employment instability, mental health concerns, and potential suicide risk, which is another barrier factor that we see for survivors. Like we're at an increased rate, I think, of 4 to 5 times the national rate for suicide because of child sexual abuse. We have to recognize as a society that child sexual abuse is not something that happens like once and then we get through it, we get over it, and then we're good. It is a lifelong public health issue, and our systems need to invest in dealing with that and providing supports like the Gatehouse across this country to make sure that survivors have a place to go when they're ready to receive the support.
That's a big thing, is when they're ready. And I think when we talk about CSA or child sexual abuse, it's like a lot of the times it'll happen to them, I guess, at an average rate of maybe the age of 13, let's say, I guess. And then I guess that's what you would classify as child sexual abuse, is under the age of 13, or...
For us, it's under the age of 18. So if it happened before the age of 18, then they can qualify to come to our programs.
Right.
The other thing too is that we see a lot of people. We did an internal analysis of our intake forms, and we took a look at the ages that most child sexual abuse was happening between the age of 4 and 13. So we're getting really young children, and some of them were babies when this happened to them, and happened over prolonged periods of time. Child sexual abuse is happening each and every day in this country. We have to stop thinking like it doesn't. And it's some sort of other people's problem. It's not. It's a Canadian problem.
Never mind the shame of the person that's experienced it. It's like the shame that society puts around it.
Exactly.
It's just like, no, we just don't talk about that topic. It's like, no, we need to talk about this topic, because what happens is that you're stuck with a society where there's like a ripple effect, right? So if I don't know what the rate is. Call it 50%, let's say, because I feel like it's very prevalent, right? The reasons why the Gatehouse exists is because it's such a high rate of it. But what ends up happening is you have this ripple effect of people that potentially go into addiction, depression, other mental health issues, and it doesn't really help society as a whole if we ignore it. Because
Exactly.
10, 15 years down the line, by the time that person's actually looking, or maybe even longer, 25 years down the line, when they finally seek help, it's like you have to put the pieces of that person back together when they're already a full adult, just functioning at some level while trying to deal with this trauma in the background. So I think, like, in order to bring it up to people's attention or anything like that, is maybe just to explain to them, like, what's the rate at which it's happening? Like, do you see, is there like, that's why I said 50%, because I just feel like it's so intensified. But would you say it's more? Would you say it's like one in every?
So it's 1 in every 3 girls, and the official stat is 1 in 6 boys. At the Gatehouse, we actually say it's more like 1 in 5, possibly 1 in 4 boys are sexually abused. The other thing that people don't realize is this is underreported. So every single statistic that we find, whether it's the police surveys or the violence surveys, people are not coming forward because of that shame, because of fear. And so they don't disclose, they don't report until years later, and some of them don't report at all. So those stats, the underreported stats, are not captured in the actual data that we have, right? So we say 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys is the official stat for Canada, but we believe there's a lot more, because this is a crime it's a hidden figure of crime because of that shame, because of the secrecy, and because of the silence.
Yeah, and then you have to go through your intake forms to be like, okay, I have a 40-year-old person that's coming to me that it happened at this age and this, and that you're trying to see at what rate these people are actually coming forward or feel comfortable enough or able to take on that shame and just say, no, I need the help now. So that rate is alarming to me, and I feel like if you sense that that's happening in your circles, you have to tell us, like, we need to help these people at the brunt of it. I'm assuming the sooner you get to them, the better. The better,
yes. That would be the ideal scenario, and get help for the family that's struggling with this. The other stat that people often, they don't know, is that 90% of the time people know the offender, like it's someone with access to that child. So it's either a family member or a hockey coach or a soccer coach or a priest, someone who has trust built with that family to get access to that child.
Right. I mean, for somebody listening right now, like, if they are sitting here and maybe they're having to catch the little clips that we're talking about moving forward and feeling overwhelmed, what does the first step look like? Like, what is something that we can do to appeal to that person, to tell them, hey, come here, we can help you, we can talk about it? What would you suggest for something like that?
Is to not let shame dictate your life. You are worthy of getting the help that you need, and it's never too late. That you're not alone, and there are places like the Gatehouse that exist for this very purpose. We're not going to tell you what to do with your life. We're not here to give advice. We're not here to fix you, because we do not see you as a broken person.
Do you guys have other chapters?
We only have one location, but we do operate both in person and online. So we do have participants that come from across Canada to our virtual programs.
Okay. Any other resources that you could potentially point people to? I mean, maybe they see the Gatehouse, they're like, maybe this is not really but we obviously want to help anyone and everyone. But is there any other resources that you can recommend that they start with online?
Of course. So the Ontario 211 website is a great resource to look up local community-based organizations in your area in Ontario to see like where they can get help. So Family Services of Toronto, for example, is another resource. The Canadian Centre for Men and Families is another organization that we've partnered with in the past, and they provide services for male survivors specifically. We also have services for male survivors.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's another underserved population, is male survivors of childhood sexual abuse, because there's not a lot of resources and services out there for men.
That's the shocking part for me, especially that. Where can people find you? How can they get involved?
So they can contact us at thegatehouse.org.
Okay. Is there Instagram handle, kids with the social media?
Yes.
People.
Instagram is at the Gatehouse Toronto. Our Facebook is a lot longer. It's at the Gatehouse Child Abuse Investigation and Support Site.
You gotta shorten that.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna start a new page. It's too long. But at the Gatehouse Toronto on Instagram is the best way to contact us through social media.
And now my favorite part, the one that I've been burning to ask you: how can people get involved? How can they help the Gatehouse?
Thank you. We are a charitable organization. Most of our funding comes from the community. So if you can or are able to make a donation, please go to thegatehouse.org and donate online through our website. We are also mostly a volunteer-run organization. We have over 100 volunteers that help us. Peer support facilitators with or without lived experience help us deliver our programs. We offer more than 30 peer support groups in a year and at least 4 to 10 expressive arts therapy groups. And most of them are run by volunteers.
That's incredible. Is there any events that people can get involved with or support?
Yes, definitely. We have our 8th annual Healing the Voice Within fundraiser taking place on October 8th at the Liberty Grand, and tickets are now on sale on our website at thegatehouse.org.
I hope this message reaches somebody, anyone out there. Please utilize the resources that are available to you. Reach out to people like the Gatehouse, like Maria. As you can see, they have a ton of volunteers. They have so many programs to help you take those initial steps to get the help that you need. Let's scrap the shame, guys. Let's try to get the help that we need so we can move on with our lives and, look out for that good future, that better future that we all deserve.